If you are joining live and you can hear me okay, put a one in the chat. I want to make sure that everything is coming in loud and clear for you tonight. So if you're new here, my name is Brittany. I am CEO and founder of Talent Teams Consulting, and I am passionate about helping HR professionals to grow in their control and be in less chaotic environment. My goal is for you to be more productive, more proactive, and I hope that that is something that you're interested in as well. So on this channel, I talk a lot about HR career, HR growth, and primarily I help HR Department of One professionals, but I also help mostly HR departments, HR professionals in general, but typically, I serve those solo professionals. But my goal here is to help you to understand that you're not on your own. You're not on an island by yourself, and that you have the power to grow and bloom where you are planted, more so than you might realize. So I grew up as an HR Department of One professional, and we'll talk more about my journey as we go on, but I understand how difficult it feels when you're working alone in HR. So hopefully my goal here is to give you practical tips that you can take action on what you're doing and really make progress. So if you are joining me live, put a one in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And let me know if you have any questions, even around the topic. I think I said in the comments before, talking about if you want more in your HR career. If you know what more looks like for you, then let me know that as well. So tonight, I'm going to be sharing insights on what you need to do if you desire more in your career. So we all know that feeling of desiring more and wanting more, and it's that feeling that kind of nags at us, tugs on us. And so I'm going to be sharing a few questions to ask yourself. So if you don't already have your notebook, grab your notebook. And if the reception of your video is not very clear, just turn off your screen and just listen to the audio. I might take the video down, but the content is solid. So I want to make sure that you get the content that's coming through your earpiece as well. So back in 2010, I got the news that I was becoming an HR Department of One. So if you are new to my channel, new to this corner of the internet, I started in 2008 as an unpaid HR intern. And then I worked under the leadership of an HR manager, senior HR manager, for a few years. And then after I graduated from college, I went full time under her leadership. But shortly after that, I got the news that she was going to be moving overseas. And my world was shattered at that time. I thought that there was nothing else that I could do because I didn't know enough to lead an entire department on my own. And so after having my pity party and figuring out ways to dig deep and move forward in that role, I found just the tenacity to really get through it. But even when I was in that spot, my focus was not necessarily to thrive like I try to help you do. My focus was at that time to survive. I really wanted to make sure that I didn't get fired. I wanted to make sure I didn't get sued. I didn't get the organization sued. And also that I didn't lose the trust of the employees, of the leadership team, and all of those things as well. So after a while, I got out of survival mode and I was in more thriving mode. And I knew that I was doing well. And we'll talk about some of the things that I've done to help me to survive in those roles later on as we go into this video. But I knew that there was more that I wanted. But I didn't really have the words to explain why I wanted more, how I wanted more, or what more even looked like. And so if we're going to be talking about those things today as well. But for me, I know I wanted more respect. I was one of the youngest in the organization. I felt like I didn't have the same lived experiences that other people had. And I just felt that I wasn't trusted like I felt that I should have been. So that was something I had to get over. I felt that I wanted a bigger title. And so I felt, okay, well, maybe if my title was HR generalist at the time, maybe if my title is manager, or maybe if my title is senior manager, then they'll give me that respect that I wanted, or they'll really listen to what I have to say, or they'll take my ideas seriously. But let's be honest, I also wanted more money. And a lot of times when we desire more, we say that we want other things, more title, more respect, more this, more that. Oftentimes what we're chasing is the dollar. We're chasing money. But I had to realize that even when I got my incremental increases, when I got my promotional increases, that only motivated me for a short period of time before the pay increase was not really felt anymore. So money motivates, but it only motivates for a brief period of time. So when you're desiring more, you really have to get super clear on what that looks like for you. Because if you're only motivated by the dollar, that motivation is going to continue to be fleeting. So I want to make sure we understand that as well. So eventually, I learned that simply wanting more is not enough. I had to find ways to get a concrete idea of what that more was and work towards getting that. And I realized that in life, everything is an exchange. You're either exchanging your time, your energy, your effort, or your money. And I invested a lot of money in learning, but I found myself being in information overload. I went to all the conferences, I bought and purchased all the books, and back then there were even DVDs and all these things. And like I said before in prior videos and in my private sessions, I often tell my clients, we have no shortage of information. We have no shortage of information because there's information all around us with the internet, with our phones, we have computers in our pockets, in our pocketbooks, with Chat GPT. There's no shortage of information, but we lack execution, and we also lack implementation. So those are things that I help my clients with on a daily basis to help us to get out of information overload and into taking those things and putting those things into action. So I'm not sure if this video, I want to make sure that you take all the things we're talking about. So if you don't already have something to write with, make sure you have that. I want to make sure you're getting all these things. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this video up. For one, the content is really, really solid. Make it for my private community. But then also, even if I make this an audio file for the video quality, I'm not quite sure if it's there. So if you don't already have your notebook, grab your notebook. I want to make sure you get all the things I'm dropping down. So put an emoji in the comments. Drop a heart if you desire more, but you're not sure what more looks like. But drop a heart eyes emoji if you know exactly what you're striving for. You know exactly what it looks like for you to get that more that you desire. So again, I want to make sure that you understand what you need to think about when you're striving for more in your career, what you can consider, and how you want to make sure you get there. So these are 7 questions I've come up with that are going to supercharge your HR career journey to give you clarity around where you are right now and where you desire to be in the future. So the question number 1, what are my career goals? And it sounds simple to say, okay, so what are my career goals? But if you think about it, you often probably haven't thought about that question on a whole, if you think about it. So for example, in our organization, we've added a new level to our performance evaluation process. So now, in addition to a biannual employee evaluation, we have a biannual employee growth plan conversation. And in that conversation, we're asking employees, what do you want to do in your career? Are you looking to maintain where you are? Or are you looking to grow into a new role? And I find that it's really, really interesting. It's a thought exercise for not only the employees, but also for the managers, because the managers get a chance to either have that conversation with the employee who maybe is not sure what they want to do next, or they're not sure what's possible for them. But I realize that a lot of people have not thought about what their career goals are. So starting with this question is a really big eye opener because it helps you to say, okay, well, this is where I am, but this is where I want to be. And we're not talking about the dollar. We're not talking about the title. We're talking about what are your career goals. So some things to think about. So long term, how do you want your career to be? How do you want your life to feel? What impact do you want to have on those around you? Those are all the things that you want to consider. But even beyond that, what are some things you need to do to get there? How are you going to achieve those career goals? How close are you to achieving those career goals? So when you're thinking about the career goal conversation, don't just put a job title on your paper. Think exactly about what you want to do, why you want to do it, how you want to get there. It's going to give you so much clarity around your HR career journey because every journey is your own. Another question to think about: am I staying up to date and informed? So one of the quotes I like to say often now is, what got us here is not going to get us there. So when you're thinking about what got you here in your career, you might have had a certain level of skill, you might have had a certain level of network, but those things are not going to necessarily get you to the next spot. Those things got you where you are, but those things are not going to help you take you to the next level. So what are you doing to stay up to date? What are you doing to stay informed? What news sources are you getting your information from? Are you plugged in with SHRM, the Society of Human Resource Management? Are you staying abreast of, emerging technology? And we'll talk more about that later. But what are you doing to stay up to date on industry trends, on things that are important to not only you as an HR professional, but also to your managers, to your leaders, to your employees? So think about that, and how often are you, and when was the last time that you did something innovative from the HR perspective? Think about all those things. And if you haven't done anything innovative in the HR realm, think about what you can do to change that. What are some things you can do to really take advantage of the space that you're in? Another question you can ask yourself: what skills should I gain? So we all have our sweet spot. If you're an HR professional, you might have a sweet spot in recruiting. You might have a sweet spot in payroll, in benefits, in whatever. And just because it's your sweet spot doesn't mean you enjoy it, but you're really, really good at it. You're solid in this area. So think about what skills should you gain. So when you're growing your HR career, you never want to be pigeonholed into one discipline of HR. HR is multifaceted. There are so many things you can do from an HR perspective. And if you're an HR department of one, who I primarily serve, you don't have the luxury of being pigeonholed into one area or having blinders on when it comes to one area as well. You want to be well-rounded and have very high level of skill and great working knowledge on multiple disciplines. So what new skills do you need to gain? So if there's an area that you tend to find yourself in most often, see if you can spend less time in that area, but then more time in the areas where you feel you need more help. Do you need more help in the workers' compensation area? Do you need more help understanding payroll? Do you need more help figuring out a way to add more succession planning strategy to your organization? There's a lot of things you can think about, but again, you don't want to just spend time in where you're most comfortable all the time. You want to find ways to grow and add more value to your organization, and finding different ways to build your skills is a great way to do that. You want to ask yourself, am I leveraging HR technology? So going back to the other question about, are you staying up to date? What tools are you using to make the most of your time? So primarily I serve HR departments of one, and as an HR department of one, you have to do everything. So again, you don't have the luxury, like I said before, of having someone to back you up, having someone to come in and you can tap them in to get this thing done. You've got to do everything. And so when you're working in that capacity, you want to make sure you have the tools required to make sure you're able to be successful. So make sure you're using technology effectively, and making incremental changes over time will be important for you. You want to ask yourself, is networking a priority for you? So how often are you going to different functions, whether it's your local SHRM chapter or your chamber meetings or things of that nature, to connect with other HR professionals and other industry professionals and professionals within your geographic area? But again, to find ways to grow and network outside of the four walls of your organization. So building your network is going to be beneficial because it's not going to only serve you in your current role, but it'll serve you in future roles as well. So you wanted to ask yourself, so what groups are you associated with? What do you gain from those groups? So what's your strategy going into them? And how can you take that to the next level? So what do you want to do to kick it up a notch the next year? Whether that means you want to serve on a committee, or you want to get on a board, or you want to just make more meetings. Maybe you want to attend half of the meetings that they have each year. Figure out ways to grow incrementally and get better and better each time. And even something as insignificant it may seem as networking is going to be a big, big piece to your overall career growth in your HR career journey. Another question you can ask yourself is, what problems can you solve? So from your current department, what problems are there within your organization? Like I said before, is succession planning an issue for you? Is performance management an issue for you? Is absenteeism an issue? So find areas that are unique to your organization and find ways to solve those problems. So no one wants to be the person who only has the gift of identifying issues or the gift of identifying problems. You want to be known as a problem solver. And the only way to be a problem solver is to become a problem solver. So you want to find ways to not only identify what needs to shift, what needs to change, but also find, okay, so who do you need to partner with to solve these things? Because you don't want to come in like Superman or Superwoman and solve all the problems on your own. You want to partner with other people within your organization, within your department or outside your department, across departments, to be a team player, to be a bridge between multiple departments and multiple functions to make sure you're serving the overall good of the organization. And then the last question with all of these things is, do you have a mentor or a coach? So you want to evaluate whether it'll be valuable for you to have guidance taking you from point A to point B. If you know that you desire more, if you know that you want to have more on your plate, you know you want to have a bigger title, you know you want to make more money, how do you do that? Is there someone that you know or someone that you can access that has more experience than you? Maybe they're a few steps ahead of you. And I've said this in prior videos as well. I think every HR professional should have two coaches or two mentors. One within your industry. So if you work in healthcare, if you work in education, if you work in banking, you want to have someone that knows that industry inside and out. That way they can help you to navigate what's unique to that specific industry and also what's unique to that profession. But also you want to have someone in the HR side, someone who, again, someone like me, someone like anyone that you know within your SHRM chapter or things like that, but that can help you to grow as an HR professional, that knows the tools, that knows the techniques, that knows the strategies, and has been able to help themselves to get to where you're trying to get. So again, you want to make sure that you're aligning yourself with people who can help you to get from point A to point B. Like I said before, in life, everything is an exchange. So you're going to spend something to grow your career. So you can either spend time, and that's one of the things that I did. I spent a lot of time, and while my span of time was not great, I would say from 2010, late 2010 to 2016 when I hired my next employee. So for that 5 to 6 year stretch, I was in the HR department of one. And for some, they might say, okay, well, that's not a very long time. But within that 6 year span, I was coming in early, I was working late, I was working through maternity leave, I was working through vacations. So I invested the time, and I'm working with you today to help you to avoid those mistakes. So you can either invest your time and you can do it the hard way, going up the rough side of the mountain, as they might say, or you can invest your money, you can invest your energy a little bit differently and find ways to align with people, align with tools, align with programs to help you to get to where you're trying to go. So if it's fine to have some thoughts about what all the things we talked about tonight in a notebook, but a great place to have these is in a single dedicated space that's designed for you to grow in your role. And if you need a plan for that, a place to put all your thoughts, all of your goals, all of your main focuses as an HR professional, especially as an HR leader in the HR department of one, I recommend highly that you grab the Thriving in HR Planner. It's a planner that I created, gosh, started over 10 years ago, and it's continuing to serve me today. But it allows me to not only grow my career, but also to grow myself as a person. So what I love about it is the digital planner. So it's perfect for your Remarkable or for any digital planner that you have, or you can even print it out if you want to. But it allows you to walk through and plan a full 12-month span of your time as an HR professional. And what I love about it is that it not only focuses on you as an HR professional, it starts with your personal growth. So you have a personal challenge in the very beginning where you can identify what do you want to do, how often do you want to do it to pour into yourself. I say often that you're more than your HR title. You've got to find ways to pour into yourself so that you can be a benefit to those around you, your family, most importantly. So again, you want to find ways to do that, and there's plenty of examples of things you can do within this the first part of this journal, this planner, and it's intentional for it to be the very first section because I think it's so important for you to not overlook it. It's the first page, the first section is going to be really, really beneficial for you. But even beyond that, you have goal setting pages for you to not only identify what your goals are, but also to track what those goals are when you get them. And I'll share my screen so you can get a chance to look at it if you're interested. So I'll go back to the planning pages so that you see what I mean. So these are the 12 months of prioritized self-discovery. So it's really a checklist, and you can go through and you can find different ways to do, whether you want to start a gratitude journal, whether you want to discover a new playlist, maybe you want to try a new free online workout. But it allows you to find ways to grow in your role and grow in your life so that you're able to be the best version of yourself. Again, if you focus only on your growth and you're only on your success as a professional, as an employee, as a leader, you're going to have a one-sided life. You really want to make sure that you are well-rounded and you're able to do all the things you want to do. Beyond that, there's also space for you to grow professionally and personally. So identify places where you have 8 goals, and I limit it to 8 goals over 12 months. And these are big goals, not small goals, but big goals for you to not only identify what they are, but also to track them over time. So you can track them over time and say, okay, so is this goal specific? Is it measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely? So walk through all those steps to make sure that your goal becomes a SMART goal that you can really achieve over time. Because I feel like it's important to know what you're trying to do, because how will you know that you got there if you're not writing it down? Another part of this planner that I love is the annual planning. So you can, of course, you can look at your full month at a glance, whether you grab it before the end of 2023 or you grab it in 2024. But it allows you to look at your quarters at a glance. So no matter when you start this, you'll have a chance to put in all of your months, and you'll get a chance to identify what are the big ticket items, what are the big projects that you're going to have to face. So that's a major piece of it. And each of these sections of the planner comes with a tutorial. So you can log in and see, okay, this is what this section entails, is how I will best use it. These are my tips and my recommendations for using it for your benefit. Another piece that I love are the monthly pages. So you can identify, the months, the days of the month. We can also figure, okay, so these are the important things to do, my to-do list. But beyond that, what I love is the reflection pages. So after every month, you're going to reflect at the beginning and end. So before the month, what do you think is going to happen? What do you want to accomplish? What new habits do you want to add? And then at the end, what went well this month? What did not go well? Why didn't it go well? And I think it's valuable to make sure that you're asking these questions of yourself, because if you only focus on getting your tasks done and you never check in with yourself to find ways to level set, find ways to optimize, find ways to get to that very next point, you're going to find it really, really difficult to not get burnt out. Having these check-ins is going to be very valuable for you, because it'll help you to not only find ways to grow and develop as a professional, but also to grow as a person. You got to check in with yourself. You have to know where you are, where you stand, how you feel. So I think that's really, really valuable. Another highlight of this planner, going beyond this, and this is probably my favorite part. This will be the last part that we walk through, where they're the weekly pages. And the weekly pages are the bulk of the pages, because it's going to allow you to look at every single week on its own. So it's one thing to plan from an annual basis, another thing to plan from a quarterly basis, and again from a monthly basis. But to get on the weekly basis, that's where you're granular. You're really looking to see, okay, well, this is how I'm spending my time mostly. So every week has 2 pages. You have your weekly priorities, and I'm breaking it down by your discipline. So compensation, payroll, employee relations, talent acquisition, and all the HR disciplines. But even beyond that, it's broken down by your schedule. So how are you spending your time? And the value of breaking it down this way is because it helps you to not only see where you're spending your time, but it helps you to visually identify where are your gaps. If you find yourself spending a lot of time in employee relations and no time in employee training or no time in employee development, you're going to visibly see you have a gap. You have an identified gap. You say, okay, well, maybe you need more training in this area. Maybe you need to spend less time in employee relations or wherever you're spending most of your time. Maybe you need to get more effective in a certain area. So again, this is really helpful. And one of the things that helped me is to identify where you're spending most of your time, how can you better use your time, and what can you do to really bridge that gap. So you might be asking, well, what's the benefit of, putting this in a planner when you have things like Outlook calendars and this and that? And I found like it's really, really, it's a great idea to put it in the planner for a few different reasons. One, don't get me wrong, I love sticky notes. I'm the queen of sticky notes. But you know how it is when you have multiple sticky notes all over your desk. It's messy. You can't find the one that you need. And it's just really ineffective. And it's not a sustainable way of keeping your notes and keeping your thoughts aligned. In terms of an Outlook calendar, yes, Outlook calendars are effective. I use Outlook calendars as well in tandem with this planner as well. But the benefit of writing it down is because there's power in writing things down. I feel like we've lost the art of writing things down. Even the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. So whether you're putting it into your Remarkable tablet like I put mine in, any other digital tablet, or you actually print these pages out and you write on the pages, there's power in writing it down because it allows you to slow down. It allows you to have some time to be intentional about how you're spending your time. And that's what this channel is all about, being intentional with your time spent. So I find that for me, it's been beneficial and it helped me. I'm confident this is the tool that helped me to optimize my day, because I found that I can't ask for more if I'm not doing well with what I already have. So this planner was my way of being able to control the chaos of life as an HR department of one by helping me to not only do well in my role and to survive in my role, but to thrive in my role. And that's the purpose of this entire channel. So if you have any questions for me, please feel free to drop them down below. If you have any ways for me to answer any questions for you, I'd love to talk with you about that. If you are interested in the planner, you can go to www.talentedteamsconsulting.com/thrive, and I will put that in the chat for you so that you can look at that in the future. But I want to make sure that if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me in the future. If you're not on our email list, make sure you're plugged in. You get a copy of our free HR career guide down in the description down below. But if I can serve you at a higher level in the future, please feel free to reach out to me. And I'll talk to you in the very next video. Bye.